Hello and welcome to the Pinfall. Today's show is a review of the TLC pay-per-view, WWE's last pay-per-view of 2020. My name is Wilbs and joining me as always is Barnsey and Jordan. How you doing, guys? You alright?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, all good, thank you.
Did you guys watch TLC live or did you watch it the following day?
I recorded it and then watched it in the morning the next day. I got caught up watching the NFL and then sort of fell asleep. So yeah, caught it in the morning.
Yeah, I watched it the next day as well with a very excited 6-year-old running about. So it was quite interesting. Added a new sort of side to watching TLC, but solid show. So let's see what everyone thought.
Yeah, we get her thoughts of the last match later on as well. So on the 20th of December, TLC, WWE's last pay-per-view of the year. And it started, the first match was Drew McIntyre defeating AJ Styles and then The Miz to retain the WWE Championship. We'll talk about The Miz cashing in afterwards, but what did you think of the match in general?
I thought it was a pretty solid opening to the show. It was quite good that Styles obviously went after McIntyre's leg, and there was a couple of cool spots with the calf, the calf crusher on the ladder. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know. Like, I sort of enjoyed the match. I think it definitely got a lot more exciting when the Miz come down because for one, I just couldn't believe he was going to cash in, and then two, when he did, I was just like, he went down with a bit of a whimper, but. Yeah, it was a fairly solid match. It's great to have. To be honest, the first thing I was going to say, I couldn't believe it was the opening match. I caught the end of the pre-show, and it said that they're opening up with the title match first, and that was just one thing that sort of blew my mind. I couldn't believe that was the way they were going to start. But I suppose after the low ratings that they've had on Raw and SmackDown recently, I suppose they wanted to keep the fans on edge and get the viewers in straight away. So it made sense to start big, but. I mean, in terms of the match, I'm glad that McIntyre has retained the belt. I think he's been just sensational throughout the whole year. And yeah, like I said, just the Miz went down with a bit of a whimper for me. A bit disappointed by that. I don't know what you thought, George.
Yeah, in terms of the card, it was weird that the WWE title is on the line first, but I guess that's just the world we live in now. I guess starting strong. This match pretty much summed up the whole pay-per-view for me, really, where you felt like each match was pretty predictable, but the match quality overshadowed the whole card, that it almost made you feel like there were swerves coming. And yeah, great opener. I love AJ Styles. You can just put him with anyone and you just get entertainment. I like his tandem with that Omos as his sort of enforcer. And then, yeah, happy Drew retained as well. Money in the Bank seems to have lost its charm now. Feels like we need a year or two off of it now because I don't even think WWE know what they need to do with it now. And yeah, I wasn't surprised the Miz come out and just to lose it like that. It was just a bit shocking to me.
Yeah, for me, one of the reasons I started off when I asked you if you watched it live is because when I press play on the WWE network, on the site it comes up with like little bookmarks. As soon as I pressed play, I already saw that Miz was going to cash in on Money in the Bank. So it sort of spoiled the match for me. I was almost sort of just waiting for it to sort of come to the point where the Miz cashed in. So I was a little bit annoyed that the network sort of spoiled it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think once Miz came down, it was really good because obviously I didn't know from there whether he cashed in successfully or not. But yeah, like you said, George, the Money in the Bank, there's been a bit of an issue over the last few years. I've got a few little stats here for you. Probably in the last sort of 4 years now, it's probably been used probably not very effectively. So in 2017, Corbin won the Money in the Bank, but he lost when he cashed in against Jinder Mahal. In 2018, Braun Strowman won it, but he lost to Reigns in a no contest. I mean, what's the point of that? 19, Brock Lesnar won it, but he wasn't even in the match that was in the Money in the Bank.
Yeah,
and then obviously this year Otis won it and then lost it to The Miz, who then didn't cash it in either. So it seems a bit, like I said, there's a bit of a trend here going on now where it's not sort of a guaranteed sort of championship win.
Well, yeah, we saw it in all its glory when Rollins had it, because that was where he had it pretty much all year and then used it in the main event of WrestleMania. So like you can see that it can give off such a good buzz. I remember we were in London watching that one at
yeah, that was brilliant.
And obviously there was such a buzz when Rawlins won it, even though that was still predictable. Everyone thought that he was going to do it, and then when he did it, it was still so good. So it's definitely got an element of a tie to the storyline, and it can be used if done effectively. But I think we all agreed as soon as Otis did win it this year, you were just like, really? Like, I know, like at the time he was pretty hot with Mandy and stuff, but I don't ever think it was a right decision for him to win. I know we're in unprecedented circumstances with a pandemic, and obviously 2 guys got thrown off the top of the building of WWE head towers. So yeah, the less we worry about that pay-per-view, the better, I think. But even when the Miz come down and he was cashing in, like, he got taken off the ladder straight away by Omis, and the way he got put through that table was shocking. I was just like, mate, you've literally just like dropped him, like fucking throw him through it. Let's like smash him up. Make like a real impact. It just seemed there, the whole thing, he went down in such a whimper, and I don't know. It was, once he come down to cash in, I was like, this is it. He's going to win the belt, and I was sort of hoping he was going to win it. And then when he didn't, it was just like, oh, great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, when he come down, I just felt he was never going to win it. I think that's the issue I have with the Money in the Bank. It's one of those things. It's like the Rumble. Whoever wins the Rumble will go on to Mania and usually win. It's like there's certain things in the company that are for, like, you know, you got to keep to the format, and that's how the Money in the Bank started. It's like you give the case to the guy you want to push. It's how the King of the Ring used to be in like the 90s. Like, who wins that is like going to be your next top guy. You're ready in the crowd for it to know this is who we're going to put, you know, the company on essentially now. And it's just lost that in the last sort of 4-5 years. And it doesn't matter. It's predictable. They come out, cash and win. It's what everyone lives for. When Edge did it in an elimination chamber, you know, picking on a week, was it HBK or Cena? I can't remember who he cashed in on. Rollins at Mania, like, even Dolph doing it, you sort of you know what to expect, and it's just lost that charm now. They're trying to be too clever with it, and they just need to go back to basics with it for me.
Yeah, definitely agree. The next match on the card, we saw Sasha Banks retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. She defeated a very impressive Carmella in a really good match. Do you guys enjoy this one?
Yeah, for me, I thought it was actually probably one of the matches of the night. Like you say there with Carmella, I think she put on such a good show. I genuinely thought she may win, especially the track record WWE have with Sasha Banks and sort of losing and regaining belts. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Just a top-notch match. And I think it's good for Banks to win and just sort of have a bit of a longer run now as SmackDown champion, because I think she is the best on the blue brand at the moment.
Yeah, I'll just echo your comments. I thought it was an absolutely amazing match, and I just think that Carmella plays the heel so well, and obviously now she's got this Reggie guy in her corner that's, you know, helping, you know, assist in pulling her out the ring when she was in the bank statement and catching her when she's fallen off the ring apron. It just adds to the heel side of the match so well, and yeah, it was just such an impressive performance for someone who's not been on pay-per-view for the best part of the year. And to come straight back in, and I mean, even her outfits that she's been wearing in the last few weeks, my God, she's got lots of temperatures rising.
You can see Corey grinning from ringside.
Yeah, always, because you know the dynamic of their relationship, and they're obviously an item outside of wrestling. It is quite funny sometimes when he's got to like compliment her or say something about her, and obviously he's just looking at Cole, and it is quite funny. It adds like another dynamic that I do enjoy. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the match, and it was a match where, although at the beginning I was like, yeah, Banks is definitely going to retain, and obviously I'm glad she did in the end. There was points in the match where I was like, hang on a minute, is she gonna beat her? Like when she super kicked her on the outside twice, threw her in the ring. I was like, is this it? Is she gonna, you know, break Sasha's defense already? But no, obviously it was great that Sasha has retained, and it'd be nice if this one can go into the Rumble, because I think a lot of matches at the Royal Rumble are just sort of throwaway sometimes, and it'd be nice if they could build up a good title match, continuing with their weekly segments on SmackDown, and yeah, build up a good feud so we get another great match.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought Carmella was really impressive, and yes, a really good match. The next match, was the Raw Tag Team Championships, and we have new champions. The Hurt Business defeated the New Day. And I'll probably say after the year that the Hurt Business have had, they definitely deserve the tag team titles, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Go on, Jod.
Well, I was just going to say this was probably the happiest moment of the pay-per-view for me because I love Hurt Business. I've probably been singing their praises since Mania SummerSlam. Just so good. The only gripe I had with it was the way they won it. Didn't like that Cedric sort of, I guess it's the story's going, but I don't really want to see them split yet. I think they're too good. They're the best thing on Raw. So I'm hoping that was just sort of a one-off. I imagine we'll see more of it, but they're just quality. They showed with the New Day what they can do with each other in the ring on a Raw previous. So they just followed suit with that on the pay-per-view, and the right team won for me.
Yeah, I was also very happy that the Hurt Business managed to come away with the belts, and I think we've been calling for it for a while to dress them up in gold and give them more than just Lashley's US title. So it's great that they won, but it's again another match for the New Day where you're like, they've had such a great career together, and it doesn't almost feel like it hurts them as much to lose, similar to what we were saying when they had the match with what are they called?
Street Profits
at the pay-per-view Survivor Series. So they're going to have another run at some point.
Yeah.
You just feel like Big E was so integral to the New Day, and like even just where they'd having the interview before they come out and he's having to do, you're just like, it's a little bit flat with Kofi and Wood sometimes, I feel. So I'm wondering how they move forward in 2021.
Yeah, would you want to see them stay together? Would you not be against the split of the New Day?
I think keep them together. I think because Big E was such a larger-than-life character, especially in that New Day role, we never really saw what sort of the other two bring as much, and I feel like they definitely have enough charisma between the two of them to keep it going. It just take a bit of time for it to come to the forefront for them. But I'd keep them together. I think they're untouchable. I don't think either of them will have improve going singles. But WWE do love to split up a tag team and make singles tag teams. So I'd be gutted if they split.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed if they did split, actually. I think we've seen the best of the New Day for the best part of a decade now. Like you say, I'm not too sure singly if they would be great on their own. Like we saw the Kofi Kingston run, obviously, before he went into the New Day, he was more than capable of having a great singles match at sort of the mid-card level. But yeah, I don't know, there's just not enough tag teams really to split them up. So if you take them away, it's like, who are they going to feud with on Raw? So you sort of need to keep them together, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the cuff. It might be good if someone else could actually join them and make them a third man team again. But I'm not too sure who would fill that void.
Yeah, I agree with the respect that there's no other tag teams on Raw, so they definitely stay together for the near future. But I wouldn't be against them going their separate ways. I mean, we saw Kofi Kingston when he had Kofi Mania. He's a world champion, ex-world champion, so I think he could definitely do it on his own. And we've not really had the chance to see Xavier Woods do much on his own, so I wouldn't be against it. But I think for now we need to keep the tag teams together for the good of the division, really.
Agreed.
We also have new women's tag team champions as Asuka and her mystery partner, which was Charlotte Flair, defeated Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. How good was it to see Charlotte Flair back?
Well, I saw this spoil before the pay-per-view, which really wound me up because I just don't know why people feel the need they have to spoil stuff that, is predetermined anyway. Just let people enjoy the show. So firstly, that wound me up. Secondly, it was a good match. It's great to have Flair back, but just the women's tag team in general, I just think they just need to get rid of the belts now. I just think it's just singles competitors. There is no women's tag teams. I'd rather them just get rid of the belt and make a mid-tier belt, sort of similar to Intercontinental and US title for the women that goes across both brands, and just use these women as single competitors, because now we've got Asuka and Flair as champions, and all we're going to get is a month probably of them as champions. They're going to split. We'll probably get them fight for the Raw belt, and it's just a waste of time, really. You're not building women's tag teams with these belts that have been going on a good few years now. I think we've only had 2 proper tag teams as champions with Banks and Bayley and the Iconics. So I just think scrap them now. It hasn't worked as well as you want it to. Get a mid-tier belt and give these women more singles runs and more opportunity to, be a singles champion.
Yeah, the tag belts in the women's division definitely feel so forced all the time. Like, they've split the Iconics up now, but in like the recent Raw and SmackDown, we've had Peyton Royce teaming with Lacey Evans and Billie Kay. Who was she with? Was she with Tamina or someone weird on
Anyone
SmackDown?
she can get at the moment.
Yeah, like, I don't know what the thinking was behind if they're going to just put them into another tag team. We might as well have just kept them together because I actually really like the Iconics. But in terms of the match at TLC, I actually enjoyed the match. I was pretty buzzing when Flair come back. Obviously, I know you said it was a little bit of a spoiler, George, but at this time of the year with Rumble season, just over a month away, Mania season coming, that she's going to be back at some point. Now we've got, I think, our 3rd Woman of the Year holding 2 belts. We've got Asuka now the double champion, which I just don't like. I think, like what you said, George, I don't think that it needs to be like that. They could have anyone else with the belt. And it's like they've been trying to have Baszler and Jax on TV, so the only way they can get them on is by having them as, tag champs. So I'm sort of hoping that relationship now implodes and that we get like maybe a Baszler versus Jax feud. But I'm not that excited for that either, to be fair.
It's crazy because they started like almost as a feud and then won the tag belts. So it's like the championship is really there to either a feud culminates into them winning the belts or they get the belts and then it starts the feud. So it's just a bit, it's annoyingly just a lot of nonsense for me now, that sort of whole women tag team division. I just think have a mid belt and, it definitely stacked the women's card a lot stronger, I feel.
What I found really weird was that they obviously built Lana up to get pinfalls over Baszler and Jax. And then obviously they just injured her. And then we get Charlotte Flair back. So it was all a little bit of a roundabout to get to the point that they wanted to get to. But yeah, just so happy that Flair's back because she just brings so much. I don't know about you guys, but it just felt like she looked a bit fresh to me. Like she had the time off and she looks a bit rejuvenated, that she's ready to go again. And, there was some just classic Flair moments with a moonsault off the top rope to the outside. She's just so athletic, and hopefully she's going to get back to being in the title picture with Asuka. I think she mentions it on Raw, so see what develops. But I thought the tag match was actually pretty good.
Well, the best woman is back now, which is only good for WWE, especially Raw.
Yeah, I think Charlotte is the best that WWE have, and the Raw division now is a much stronger division with her in it. I just think, like you said, I think they need to improve the tag division if they're going to continue with it. Really, get some teams and build them up instead of breaking them up.
I think as well, frustratingly, is like you've got the Riot Squad, you had the Iconics, you've got sort of Mandy Rose and Dana together now, but none of them get used. You had Lana and Natalia for a bit. It's like you've got 4 teams just there. Just have, I don't see why you need Baszler and Jax around that. They can go for belts and, it's there, but WWE just seem to be very anti-tag team, whether it's men or women. And it really annoys me because, especially when you watch NXT and their tag team matches are so good, you just think, why can't you replicate that on Raw and SmackDown?
Yeah, well, maybe it could be an idea for the women's tag division to go to NXT, because obviously they can go over all 3 brands and it wouldn't hurt going over there, that's for sure. The next match was personally my match of the night. It was Roman Reigns defeating Kevin Owens in a TLC match. Huge fan of both these guys. Roman Reigns has been excellent since he's come back, and Kevin Owens sort of been lost in the shuffle a little bit, I feel. But it was good that he was in a main match on the card. Really good match.
Yeah, I completely agree. Match of the night for me too, Wilbs. And I think the way that Roman Reigns is so good is because no matter who he's in the ring with, he is just elevating them up to another level. We saw it with Jey Uso, and now we've seen it with Kevin Owens. He made Owens almost the star of the match, just from his pure brilliance. The sadistic smile where he's not letting, where he's wants Owens to get up, and he's like, he can't believe he's going to have to get back down off the ladder to give him another beating. I'm just literally in love with Roman Reigns at the moment. What a man! And I just the two of them just complemented each other so well. Just a great match. Proper good like heel versus face. And yeah, hopefully, like I said with the Sasha Banks Carmella match earlier, hopefully this one can continue to the Rumble, because it feels like it's got a real edgy sort of storyline to it at the moment. And yeah, I'm not sure that Owens is going to obviously ever beat him, but it's nice that you get such a good match.
I'm actually going to be a little bit the opposite, where like you've complimented saying Reigns elevated Owens. I actually think Owens has just shown why he should be at the top of the card. The match definitely plays in his favour, similar to the WrestleMania match he had with Rollins. This is right in his wheelhouse, and this is where you get the very best Kevin Owens. The biggest shame with Kevin Owens is he always has the fight Owens fight moniker, and he's always allowed to go do that and beat the crap out of everyone, but it's always in a feud. You know he's not ever going to win, and it's such a shame. You'd wish he's allowed to be sort of Austin-esque as a world champion. He's always sort of only allowed to do that when the feud is to build up the champion itself. But yeah, like you two, match of the night, definitely. Reigns is just so gripping. He's probably the best wrestler in the world at the moment. I don't think even anti-WWE fans are not watching him. Yeah, just fantastic work. And like you just said, Matt, I hope this just carries on, because it's great. Yeah, Owens just keeps turning up, and he'll take down his whole family to get to him. He's really not fussed, and it definitely has his legs in this.
Yeah, really good match. The last match on the card, the main event, we had Randy Orton set fire to the Fiend. What did you think of that?
It was a bizarre ending, and obviously it's now come out that it was pre-recorded and stuff. So obviously, yeah, you're not going to burn alive someone in the middle of the ring. But I'll throw it out there. I think it was the greatest Inferno match of all time.
Oh, what a shout!
For me.
I just think that having no crowd, it meant that they could have the fire sort of around the actual surface of the ring area rather than actually on the ring apron. As soon as you know it's an Inferno match, you know it's absolutely ridiculous and they shouldn't be doing it to start with. I mean, the first one you ever remember was The Undertaker against Kane, and the best bit in that one that you always remember is The Undertaker diving over the top of the fire outside to Kane on the outside, and then obviously burns his arm. So you've obviously come 25 years on from that point. But yeah, I sort of just... What can you do in an Inferno match? Someone's going to have to be set on fire, and you're just sort of waiting for a ridiculous ending. And I just thought that with what they could offer, that was a pretty decent thing to come up with. And now you're like, are they going to be able to sort of renovate the Fiend to come back as something else? I don't know. Don't know what you boys thought.
Yeah, I mean, Inferno matches, it's just an Inferno match, isn't it? It's like when Taker had his Buried Alive matches. You always have the sense that the person who made, like, it's not their speciality, but like Taker always was the one who got buried, and now the Fiend, he was going to get set on fire because you can sort of return him as however. With fire being a part of any match, it sort of grips you and it's entertaining because pre-recorded or live, fire, it has no rules. It's not as predetermined as a wrestling match. So, yeah, it was enjoyable. Didn't expect him to actually just light him up at the end. That was certainly a lot more adult themed, which the USA Network are looking for a Raw. So, yeah, it is what it is. It doesn't harm either of them. The Fiend just comes back and beats the Fiend. I hope they don't repackage him too much. I like him and Bliss. Also liked in this sort of match they could have done how they did with Rollins and Hell in a Cell, where like Orton could have hit him with everything and he just kept getting up and up. At least he took the hits and was a bit more sort of grounded that way. So yeah, it is what it was. It's got everyone talking, especially with the Fiend being burnt ablaze. So yeah, no real complaints from me, but I'm not going to sort of shower it with praise as well.
Yeah, I thought the match up to the finish was pretty good. Quite enjoyed it. It was back and forth, and there was a few sort of, oh, is he going to get set on fire sort of moments. But for me, I hated the end. I just thought it looked so stupid. I mean, obviously we're all wrestling fans, but if a non-wrestling fan saw that, they'd be thinking, why are you watching this?
Yeah.
It was just so silly, but yeah, like I said, I guess it is what it is. It's obviously for entertainment. We know it's not real. We know it wasn't really the Fiend getting set on fire, but it just, I don't know, it just looked a little bit silly for me at the end. But apart from that, before that happened, I did enjoy the match.
It's funny, isn't it? Because some of the reaction I saw online, like from all the Americans, they absolutely love that shit. Like that is to them like, oh my god. And yeah, I think over here, I'm not sure that we sort of settle for seeing stuff like that as much as what the Americans do. They love all the, the big shenanigans and like the absolutely bizarre and proper out there stuff. Whereas I think here we almost prefer the traditional mat sort of style wrestling and like things that aren't so stupid in storylines. Like I say, they sort of put themselves into a corner as like the eye versus eye match. Someone's got to lose their eye. It's ridiculous. Why are they even putting themselves in that position where they're having this match and someone's got to go on fire? And it's pretty obvious from the outset that Randy Orton's going to put the Fiend on fire, because there's no way Orton's going to be put on fire. I mean, I remember the time that he put the Undertaker on fire and nearly set himself on fire in the process. So, but yeah, it had a couple of cool spots. I did like the bit where he was sitting in the chair and they obviously put the gasoline out and then it went up and you're like, oh my god. But and he obviously then got out of the way, but then you're thinking he's now covered in gasoline again. He's like pouring it around the ring and he's got matches and yeah, it's just a little bit absurd, but I don't think it ruined it totally for me. It just depends how they build from it. If there's like another outcome and an angle in the storyline, then I'm not too against it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't blame him for doing it, because what Bray did at Mania with Cena was excellent. So I don't see why you can't, trust him with these sort of matches again. If it's pre-recorded, and just let him sort of, he has that creativity for it. So you got to trust him and let him do with it. And, it's still been entertaining. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is like the one time they sort of can do it. There's obviously no crowd. So, yeah, they can sort of get away with that sort of like pre-recorded sort of style of match.
Yeah, and just as Matt touched on with the no crowd and the Thunderdome, you can have the fire not in the ring, because if it's an Inferno match and the ropes are on fire as they normally are, that just limits you immediately on what you can do and how long it goes for and such. So, yeah, they couldn't have done this at any other time, really. So, yeah, it's, they shot their shot. People liked it, people hate it, and, that's what all of wrestling is. So, yeah, no complaints.
Yeah, before we summarise the pay-per-view, obviously I just want to touch on the pre-show, because there was an eight-man tag match, which I didn't see actually. I know, Matt, you went back and watched it, where basically the end was Big E pinning Sami Zayn.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get the title match this coming week on SmackDown after Big E manages to pin Sami Zayn on the TLC Kickoff show. It sort of went down when he got into the ring when Chad Gable was in the ring, and it looked like he was just coming in to get the victory, but then obviously Chad Gable made the tag, and then we got a little bit of conflict between Big E and Sami Zayn, and it ended with a big ending and a 1-2-3 for Big E. So after the Sami Awards last week on SmackDown, it's definitely looking like they're going to end the year potentially with a new champion on SmackDown, which, as fans of the Sami Zayn club in the pinfall, I'm not sure we're too pleased about it, but it does make sense. And although Big E's been the Intercontinental champ before, it looks like he's about to get his first singles championship since breaking up from the New Day, and we'll have to see. I think he's someone who definitely deserves an opportunity in that position. He's good in the ring, he's good on the mic, as we touched on earlier. So yeah, I'm sort of all for it actually.
Yeah, like Wilbs, I didn't watch either. When I saw it was an 8-man tag, I knew I was mugging it off, because I hate 8-man tags. Whether you're for Big E or not for becoming the next IC champion, for me, I don't like to see the Intercontinental champion pinned on a kickoff show of any pay-per-view for no reason at all. I think they had like a segment during TLC. If you're on a kickoff show, it's a bit of a throwaway match anyway. You have three other tag partners who could have took the pin. Protect your champions. Don't care who they are or what belt they have. Protect your champions in kickoff matches. Save that feud for the SmackDown. Like, it doesn't need to be on a kickoff show. So, when you let us know what happened, I was a bit like, God, you can't do that to Sami. He's like, in our eyes, it's the biggest belt underneath the 2 world titles, and it's just been sort of almost sounds like jobbed out on a kickoff show of a pay-per-view, which is not how that belt should be treated.
That was exactly what happened. He was jobbed out.
For me, Sami Zayn's been pinned way too many times over the last few months. He is one of the best, in my view, probably your guys' view as well, and they need to be building him up, not getting him pinned on pre-shows and taking pins on SmackDown when in 8-man tags. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, because obviously Big E's is sort of seen as one of the favourites for the Royal Rumble as well, isn't he? So I can't imagine him winning the IC title and then going on to win the Royal Rumble. So it seems like if he does win the IC belt, we might be able to rule him out the Royal Rumble.
I think as well, if he wins the IC belt, that would be a massive deflation from the fans who've been gagging for another Big E singles run. If he's demoted from a world title match to an IC belt, no disrespect to the IC belt, but people want to see him go for that world title, and you feel like the Rumble is the most logical. But then it's a SmackDown season finale, and when SmackDowns get titled that, there is always a title change, and I don't see Roman losing the belt, so you go for the next best one, which is Sami. So, I mean, it'd be incredible if he won the IC and the Rumble, but it depends how big they want to make Big E a star. They did it with Lee on NXT. He become the first double champ. Do they, take that with Big E to Mania, and he's lifting both? Go on.
I was going to say that he could go on to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, but not necessarily win the Rumble. So they could sort of get a Raw guy to win the Rumble, and then they could maybe use the sort of pay-per-view in between to build Big E up to that point, if that's what they're going to do. But there's plenty of other sort of SmackDown superstars who would be more than suitable to face Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it's quite good now. There's not a pay-per-view now until the 31st of January when we get the Royal Rumble, so they've got time now to get through Christmas and the New Year, and then proper build up and establish who they want to be in the main event of WrestleMania, and hopefully Big E's definitely up there as a contender for sure. But prediction for SmackDown, I think he's gonna be the one walking away with the belt, unfortunately.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Overall, looking back on TLC, mainly the main card then, pretty decent pay-per-view, would you say? Yeah,
I thought it was a very good pay-per-view. I thought they left like the shenanigans out of it, and the match quality was just top-notch, and we always praise TakeOver for it, and I feel like this pay-per-view needs that praise as well, where they sort of won clean, and it was like the loser never felt affected for losing, and for a pay-per-view that felt very predictable, the match quality just made you sort of second guess each match a little bit, and that's definitely what you want.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. I think it's definitely up there for one of the pay-per-views of the year. And like you say, it was, although on like when you look at the card, you were like, it did seem pretty predictable. I think it still delivered. And it was quite good. It was just 6 solid matches, not too over the top until the very end of the show. But it gets the thumbs up from me. I definitely thought that was one of the more solid pay-per-views that WWE have done this year.
I think honourable mention for 2021 beating up 2020 with Drew McIntyre. What a little promo that was mid pay-per-view. We all needed that, didn't we?
And what about the 6-year-old daughter, Matt? Did she give it a thumbs up? Especially at the
she
end?
Loved the fire. She wanted to watch it again today. After watching Raw and they were doing a recap of it, she wanted to see it again. So, yeah, thumbs up from her, definitely.
A new fan.
Yeah, that's 4 thumbs up on the Pinfall then. Excellent show, really. So fair play to WWE for delivering that. Yes, that's the end of the podcast today. The next podcast will be a sort of a review of the year, some awards given out, maybe some predictions as well. So hopefully you can join us for that. Just want to say to everyone, just please stay safe. Obviously, where we live, two of us, we're in tier 4 now. So if anyone sort of needing a little bit of help or wants to talk to someone, obviously our DMs are open at the Pinfall Pod. Even if you don't like the show, and you need someone to talk to, you just want to talk about wrestling, then give us a little DM. We are at the Pinfall Pod. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. That's the end of the show. That's the end of the 2020 WWE pay-per-views. Time to ring the bell.